morning. This is Gowri, and you're listening to Dorian ASEAN, the voice of sharing and discovery. So it's a beautiful Thursday morning today. Just one more day away from Friday, and of course, then it's the weekend. So hopefully, everyone is pumped up and excited, and hopefully, you have exciting plans for the weekends. I'm about to bring you some fresh news from all over Southeast Asia this morning. It's 8:01 right now, and before that, let me just share with you a beautiful morning quote. Every morning starts a new page in your story. Make it a great one today. So that's right. Every morning is a new page. It's a new chance for you. So no matter what happens the day before, whatever mistakes, whatever trouble that you might have had when you wake up in the morning, it's a new day, it's a new start, so hopefully you have a great one. So let's start with the news for today. The Telegraph UK reports that Malaysia Airlines plane surge. A British yachtswoman saw MH370 on fire. A British woman sailing with her husband across the Indian Ocean from India to Thailand has claimed that she may have seen the missing Malaysia Airlines plane on fire. Catherine T, 41, was on night watch on March 7 to 8, but said she did not report the sighting until Sunday because she was having marital problems and thought she was just losing her mind. She said recent media reports about the ailing search for MH370 prompted her and her husband Mark Horn to examine their GPS logs, and then they discovered that they were actually within the plane's projected flight path. The plane, carrying 239 people, disappeared the last March 8. This is what convinced me to file a report with full track data for our voyage to the relevant authorities. So besides that, scientists are actually investigating a mysterious low-frequency underwater noise that was detected off the southern tip of India at about the same time that the Malaysian Airlines plane had its last satellite transmission and disappeared. So this is a new eyewitness. There has been countless number of eyewitnesses claiming that they have seen the plane, that they've seen fire, they've seen some smoke, they've seen some parts of the plane with red and blue stripes that looks a lot like the Malaysian plane, and this is the most recent one, and we don't know how true this is. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but I really hope she is not one of those people who are just speculating for the sake of gaining attention. If the information is true, then it could be helpful for the authorities who are having a lot of trouble trying to locate the plane, and it seems that even the place that our Prime Minister confirmed that this is where the plane must have landed, turns out the plane never actually was there. So we don't know if they're gonna start the search all over again, or how they're gonna go about doing it. So if this information could be helpful, I hope they look into it and start on their investigation. But at the same time, there's also this noise that is beyond the frequency of the human ear, but it was picked up by a device, and that was a little off India. So hopefully that is encouraging lead as well for the search. And the following news is reported by The Star. Australia aims for security intel pacts with Indonesia. Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott on Wednesday said that he hopes to seal security and intelligence pacts with Indonesia as he looks to repair ties hurt by spying allegations. Abbott is due to meet Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono on Wednesday, admitting there had been rough patches in the critically important relationship. He said that, I think it's important that we have an intelligence sharing memorandum of understanding between Australia and Indonesia because we have a lot of shared intelligence and security interest. He said that this was not just about combating people smuggling, but also combating the spread of jihadist terrorism amid concerns about people returning from fighting in Syria, radicalized and militarized. So both countries actually sent people to go to the battle in Syria. So he was also referring to the people smuggling which is another sensitive topic with Jakarta because, as we all know, they did have a little crisis back then when Australia sent back a boat full of people. And this one actually led to Australia's military-led operation to stem the flow of boat people who mostly make the journey from Indonesia. And Abbott also said that he was determined to put the relationship back on track in this meeting with Yudhoyono on the Indonesian island of Batam. So as we reported yesterday, it seems that a journalist from Bali actually recorded the entire conversation, phone conversation actually, between Tony Abbott and President Susilo Bambang. And well, we don't know how President Susilo reacted to it, but Tony Abbott was very cool about it. He said it doesn't matter that someone actually recorded the conversation because they didn't discuss anything wrong. They were just the conversation was genial. It was for the good of the people, and he had nothing to hide. And well, the way he reacted, although I think it was a really good way, but a lot of people, I guess, started blaming him that he probably arranged for the spying, for someone to actually eavesdrop and record the whole conversation. So right now he's working on trying to get in talks with President Susilo Bambang and fix their ties, their diplomatic ties, and they want to have a good relationship because they share their intelligence and their security interests, and they want the best for both countries. And a little additional information, their ties sunk to their lowest point for years in November last year after reports that Australian spies started to try to tap the phones of Yudhoyono and his inner circle. So we don't know why Australia is trying to do that, or if it's true, because this is only an accusation. But well, I hope that they sort it out real soon and have their dialogue, talk about it, and resolve all the pending matters that could probably incite a conflict between the two countries. Moving on to Thailand now, reported by The Star. The Thai curfew lifted in 3 tourist hotspots. So this is a follow-up to yesterday's news as well, when reported that tourists all over the world actually are losing interest in Thailand, and the searches, according to the holiday websites, that no one's searching Thailand anymore. No one really wants to go there. As we all know, Thailand is a major tourist spot in Asia with all its beautiful beaches, beautiful islands like Koh Samui, Phuket, Koh Phangan, and they have all these full moon parties. It's the place to go, but ever since the military took over in Thailand, all this interest has been waning, which is really sad because Thailand is a beautiful place. So Thailand's junta said Tuesday that it was ending a curfew in major tourist resorts of Pattaya, Koh Samui, and Phuket, which was imposed after last month's military coup. The measure will be scrapped to create a favorable climate for tourism, the military said in a televised announcement. The rest of the country remains under curfew. The curfew was initially introduced after the 22nd of May. For the whole country, for the curfew lasts from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. to the dismay of the owners of bars and other late-night business owners. The junta shortened it to midnight until 4 a.m. late last month. So I think it's a very good move on Thailand's part to lift the curfew on their major touristic spots, namely Pattaya, Koh Samui, and Phuket here, because these are the places that everyone wants to go to, and it's really hard if there is a curfew that says that you cannot be here after 4 or 5 a.m. After 10 p.m. at night, because people usually want to stay late and hang out with their friends, and no one likes a curfew being imposed on them, especially when you're on a holiday. Moving on to our next news, which is also reported by The Star. Witness manner called into question. So this is actually in Singapore, where judges have done no better than chance in assessing if people were lying, noted Singapore's apex court as it issued a warning against relying too much on, said, the demeanor of a witness to decide if he or she is a liar. The court also called on judges not to be swayed too much by faulty recollections in deciding whether a witness is truthful, especially when memory gaps occur after a long time in between the event and the trial. The witness is under intense scrutiny of the judge and is also under intense pressure to answer counsel's questions. Even truthful witness may wilt and display discomfort in such circumstances. So I think this is a very good point that is pointed out here, because as we know, when a crime or whatever incident that takes place before the trial actually comes on, it can be a very, very long gap, a very long period before the trial actually happens. And the witnesses may forget a lot of things that happen in between the times, because we're humans and we have very limited memory capacity, and we cannot remember everything in way too much detail. So when someone appears to be a little uncomfortable or a little fidgety and they cannot really recall, it doesn't mean that they're not a reliable witness, or they're lying or putting up an act. It's a natural occurrence, really, and also to be in court, to be facing the judge, to be facing all the lawyers, the police, the people who are there. It's normal for the witness to get a little intense, to get pressured, and that may in turn fail your memory or other details that you may want to present. So other aspects of demeanor that judges look at can include the way in which a witness responds or hesitates, and whether or not his gaze is steady or shifting. The Apex Court also urged caution by the trial judge when placing reliance on these factors alone to find a witness untruthful. So this is very true. In certain times when you're nervous while talking, it doesn't necessarily mean you're lying, although it is probably one of the substantial sign that most experts look out for. Is your heart racing? Is your breathing getting a lot more rapid? And are you sweating? Are your hands getting clammy? But then again, as it's stated here, these symptoms could also be happening because you're under so much pressure, because somebody's life is in your hands, and you have to face all these people, all these professionals, and you don't really want to. It's hard to stay calm in that kind of situation, I think, and therefore it's a very natural thing for most people, and so it's good that the experts are actually being encouraged to look for other factors as well, instead of just focusing on these few symptoms. Moving on to Manila now, we have news reported by Sunstar Manila, where lawmakers call for decentralization of the NCR. So two legislators believe that the decentralization of the National Capital Region, NCR, will help solve the country's classroom shortage. House Committee on Basic Education and Culture Chair Carmen Cojuangco said that Technical Education Chair Roman Ramulo both agreed that the decentralization of Metro Manila will result to less number of students that will be accommodated in government-run schools. We have to decentralize Manila. It has to be an overall big grand scale plan to decentralize the capital. Start developing areas outside Manila that are complete so that people will not be afraid to live in those areas. People come here because everything is here, so why don't we start putting our attention into other provinces in the north, in the south, and in central Luzon. There's also a lot of migrants from all over the country coming to Manila, and every year the public schools get a little bit of a shock because they have all these school children that just appear in the public schools, and they're mostly from provinces and not exactly from the center, and maybe also because of the typhoon hit areas like Yolanda, so there is a congestion. So I think this is a very good move on Manila's side, because, well, we do know that everyone's always trying to go to the capital city because that's the place that is deemed complete, that the capital has all the the facilities that you need, all the amenities. It's got all the important hubs, and so it's understandable that all these school children the parents are sending them to Manila, and that is making all the government-run schools congested. And so it's good that they're working on expanding, on building more classrooms, and also trying to decentralize the National Capital Region, NCR. Also in Manila, Metro Manila tops New York with 22.8 slum dwellers. Dismayed by published reports that Metro Manila homeless population is the highest among urban centers in the world, congressmen are seeking for a congressional inquiry to determine the correctness of the report and push for legislative measures to address the problem. Understanding the problem is the first step to finding the solution, stated Benitez, who chairs the Housing and Urban Development Panel. Costello, who chairs the Metro Manila Development Panel, said the appalling homelessness record in Metro Manila contained in the List25.com website published on April 29, which revealed that 22.8 million people, that includes 1.2 million children, reside in the Metro Manila slums. Costello, citing the whole website report, said 300,000 more people have gone homeless following the recent calamities that hit the Philippines. So I think this is another important problem that should be addressed by the Manila government, because 22.8 million slum dwellers is a huge number. And if you go to Manila, you'll see that Manila itself is kind of a separate city on its own, and most of the people actually reside in Metro Manila, and then they travel every day to get to work, go to school. And this Metro Manila is not as developed as Manila, the city itself, and a lot of people are still poor. Their houses are not in very good conditions, and the streets are not that clean either, and there are street vendors everywhere. So it would be great on the government's part if they can actually address this problem and come up with some measures to help these people who are living in the slums, who are homeless, who don't have a job, and also all these little children who have to also suffer along with the rest in the slums. And every one of them, as a citizen, they deserve their basic rights, their home, their food, education. So I hope that the Manila government will look into this. And following news is by the Brunei Times. New system for high safety standard in oil and gas sector. Brunei's oil and gas industry will have higher safety standards with the establishment of control of major accident hazards regulations. The Minister of Energy at the Prime Minister's office yesterday said this undertaking is unprecedented and has never been before done in Asia. Brunei will definitely be put on the map with regards to safety standards and make Brunei the center of excellence for health and safety. That is the vision, he said. The new system also makes it mandatory for the oil and gas industry players to get certified in health and safety. So very important move by Brunei, because the oil and gas industry is a very important industry and could get dangerous if not handled properly. So it's good that they are establishing this control under their regulations and coming up with new system and a new safety standard for those in this sector. And this will definitely improve the safety standard in Brunei. And like the Minister of Energy said, will make Brunei probably even a good example in this field, and maybe other countries can even look up to them and adopt their safety model. Let's move on to Vietnam now, reported by the Vientiane Times. Experts make recommendations on city planning. Foreign experts have recommended Vientiane authorities to make land use regulations clearer for easy enforcement and to bolster development in accordance with the city's urban planning. An expert from Japan International Cooperation Agency made the recommendations in a meeting held in Vientiane yesterday to review the implementation of the technical cooperation project for urban development management between the GICA, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, and the Vientiane authorities. So the GICA expert in urban development management policy, Mr. Tomohiro Hasegawa, observed that both tolerance and requirements are included in the current Vientiane zoning code. So it makes it difficult for many buildings constructed to comply with overall requirements. The mixed and unclear requirements have resulted in compromises in the control measures identified in Vientiane. Therefore, the recommendation is to rearrange the items in the zoning code with only requirements in the code. So I'll have to agree on this one. When there are too many requirements, too many different rules, too many different standards, it's really hard to come up with a way to meet all the requirements, because it's impossible to meet so many different standards. There should be one clear requirement, and it should be clear, and it should definitely state what's important in the case of this, the development management policy, and that would definitely make it easier for those who are trying to go for the development in accordance to the city's urban planning, and that would also make it more efficient and faster. So that'll be all for now. I'll be back in a bit for our Blast from the Grassroots session. We'll be speaking to someone at 8:35 later. So stay tuned at durianasean.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, Facebook/DurianASEAN. Also follow us on Twitter and leave any comments that you have for us. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Stay tuned.